The Justice Department's investigation into the January 6 riots is closing in on former President Trump's allies and members of his inner circle.
That's right. The criminal probe is now focusing on Mr. Trump's actions leading up to the insurrection. However, it's not clear whether the former president is the target of the investigation. But CBS News has learned prosecutors are questioning people close to then-President Trump about his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Attorney General Merrick Garland says the DOJ will hold anyone criminally responsible for interfering with the peaceful transition of power accountable for their actions. For more on this, CBS News legal contributor Rebecca Roiphe joins us now. Rebecca, great to see you. So what could this criminal investigation mean for the former president?
Well, at this point, it's unclear because it's still an investigation. But of course, any criminal investigation that comes out of the Department of Justice could end up in charges and indictment against the former president, which would be unprecedented and, quite, of course, consequential for the president himself and the country.
Now, former President Trump spoke in Washington yesterday, and it was his first time speaking in the Capitol since leaving office. What are the political implications of this investigation?
Well, the political implications are huge. I mean, both, of course, there are implications and consequences that would happen if the former president were indicted on the, upcoming campaign and elections, of course. But beyond that, this has never happened before. The country has never had a situation in which a former president was charged with a crime. And there have been situations like, former President Richard Nixon, former President Bill Clinton, where there were conclusions that crimes had been committed, but the Department of Justice in those cases for different reasons decided not to pursue those charges. And that's because in a healthy democracy, we don't normally have one administration that is pursuing criminal charges against another administration. But of course, these are unprecedented times. And as Merrick Garland said, no one is above the law. So how do you balance this need for accountability with concerns about the implications for democracy when one administration charges another administration, the head of that administration, the former president, with crimes?
Right. And of course, they have a very steep mountain to climb when it comes to collecting evidence for this, Rebecca. We know that former Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, Mark Short, testified before a federal grand jury investigating the January 6th insurrection last week. How many other high-profile former Trump administration officials do we know of who are fully cooperating with the investigation?
Right. So, first of all, I think it's important to highlight that Department of Justice investigations, unlike the January 6th committee within the legislature, are conducted in secret, and that is by design. Yeah. And so we are in a situation where we have limited knowledge about what is going on, and we are getting increasingly more information, which I think is an indication that the investigation has accelerated. But again, we don't know everything. And so, we've gotten information about subpoenas that have gone out to various different people, including state officials that might have been the subject of the effort to have the fake slate of electors imposed. And then we have had information about DOJ officials who have been had their houses searched. There were lawyers like John Eastman who supposedly had his phone records seized. So little pieces of information like this indicate to us that those who are close to the president, close to the vice president, who have firsthand knowledge about what he instructed, whom he ordered to do what, are being called before the committee. And that, from that, even without the reporting that says that, Trump is being investigated, you can infer from that, of course, this investigation has reached the level where it is looking into these top aides and, of course, to the former president himself.
All right. Rebecca Roiphe, breaking it down for us. Thank you so much. We'll have to keep an eye on it.